The sun rose over Dubai like a polished gold coin, casting long, sharp shadows across the glass towers of the marina. On the 84th floor of the Al Fayed Tower, the world was silent, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning and the rhythmic shush-shush of a microfiber cloth against marble. Rosa Martinez moved like a ghost. She was 45 years old, but her movements were as precise as a clock. To the security guards at the front desk, she was just staff. To the other housekeepers, she was the quiet Mexican woman who never complained. To Adrian Al Fayed, she was simply the person who made his mess disappear. Rosa stood in the center of the master bedroom. It was a room of white leather, brushed gold, and floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the Persian Gulf. In the center of the room, draped over a velvet mannequin, was the suit. It was a masterpiece of Italian tailoring, midnight blue silk, hand-stitched with silver thread. This was the suit Adrian would wear to marry Clara Beaumont. This was the suit of a king. Rosa reached out a hand to touch the sleeve. Her fingers, calloused from years of cleaning chemicals and hard labor, trembled. Every time she touched Adrian's clothes, a cold chill traveled up her spine. It wasn't the chill of the air conditioning. It was the chill of a grave. She looked at her reflection in the gilded mirror. She saw a tired woman with dark circles under her eyes. But behind those eyes, a fire was burning. A fire that had been smoldering for 12 long years. "I see you," she whispered to the empty room. "I see the man behind the money." To understand why Rosa's hands shook, you have to go back across the ocean, back to a time when the sun felt warm and kind, not sharp and expensive. 12 years ago, Cancun was a place of music and laughter. Luis Martinez was 22, a boy with a smile that could solve any problem. He worked at a high-end resort, saving every peso to send Rosa to nursing school. He was the heart of their family. One humid Friday night, the backpackers arrived. They were young men from wealthy families, traveling the world with pockets full of cash and hearts full of arrogance. Among them was a man then known as Adrian Smith. He was loud. He was reckless. He thought the world was a playground built just for him. Rosa remembered the phone call, the ringing that fractured the night at 3 a.m., the voice of a terrified coworker telling her there had been a fight at the Sky Bar. An argument over a spilled drink, a shove. Luis hadn't stood a chance. The balcony railing was low. The drop was 40 feet. The police report said accidental fall. They said Luis had tripped, but Rosa knew her brother. Luis was as sure-footed as a mountain goat. She saw the bruises on his chest, the shape of a hand, a powerful hand. She saw Adrian Smith at the station. He didn't look like a killer. He looked like a boy who had made a mistake he expected his father to fix. And fix it they did. Money changed hands in dark hallways. Witnesses suddenly forgot what they saw. Within 48 hours, Adrian Smith was gone. Luis was buried in a dusty cemetery with a wooden cross. Adrian Smith was erased. For 9 years, Rosa lived in the shadow of that injustice. She moved to Dubai following the promise of higher wages, trying to outrun the ghost of her brother. She became a professional cleaner, a woman who specialized in the homes of the untouchable. Then came the first day at the Al Fayed penthouse. She had been told she was working for a visionary, a man who had built a real estate empire from nothing, a man who was a hero of industry. When the elevator doors opened and Adrian Al Fayed walked out, Rosa's heart stopped. The hair was shorter, the beard was groomed, the eyes were hidden behind expensive glasses. But she knew those shoulders. She knew the way he tilted his head when he was annoyed. He looked at her for a split second, a casual glance at the new help, and then looked right through her. To him, she was just a uniform, a tool. Rosa had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. Her stomach turned. The man who had pushed her brother into the dark was now standing in the light, surrounded by billions of dollars. He had changed his name. He had changed his life, but he hadn't changed his soul. "Is something wrong?" the house manager asked. Rosa swallowed the bile in her throat. She looked at the floor. "No," she whispered. "The sun is just very bright today." Rosa didn't quit. She didn't scream. She didn't call the police. She knew the Dubai police wouldn't listen to an undocumented cleaner accusing a billionaire of a crime in Mexico a decade ago. Instead, she stayed. She became the perfect servant. For 3 years, she cleaned his life. She picked up his discarded silk ties. She wiped his fingerprints off the cognac glasses. She listened to him talk on the phone about ethics and integrity in business. Every day was a test of her sanity. She watched him celebrate birthdays. She watched him meet Clara Beaumont, a woman who looked like she was made of moonlight and grace. She watched them fall in love. Rosa would go home to her tiny, cramped room in the labor camp and sit in the dark. She felt like she was carrying a bomb inside her chest. "Why him?" she would ask the ceiling. "Why does he get the penthouses while my brother has the dirt?" She began to realize that the most powerful courtroom isn't made of wood and stone. It's made of the mind. Adrian Al-Fayed believed he had escaped. He believed he was a new man. He had buried the backpacking boy so deep that he probably didn't even remember Luis's name. Rosa decided she was going to make him remember. Underneath Rosa's thin mattress was a plastic bag. Inside the bag was a single sheet of paper, yellowed at the edges and smelling of the salt air of Cancun. It was the letter Luis had written to Rosa the very night he died. He had left it on their kitchen table, intending for her to read it when she got home from her late shift. "Rosa," it began, "there is a man here, a tourist. He is dangerous. He has been following the staff, making threats. He thinks he owns the world. If anything happens to me tonight, remember his face. Remember the name he uses, Adrian. He has a tattoo of a hawk on his left ribs. Don't let him stay silent." Luis had been afraid. He had sensed the darkness in Adrian before the fight even started. Rosa had shown this letter to the police in Mexico 12 years ago. They had laughed. "A letter from a dead boy isn't evidence," they said. "It's a tragedy. Go home, Rosa." But Rosa knew the letter was more than evidence. It was a mirror. It was a description of the monster Adrian was before he put on the suit of a billionaire. She folded the letter until it was small. She tucked it into her bra, right against her own heart. She waited. She waited for the day when Adrian would be at his happiest. The day when he felt most clean. His wedding day. The day of the wedding arrived with a heat that made the horizon shimmer. The penthouse was a hive of activity. Florists brought in thousands of white orchids. Caterers carried silver trays of delicacies. Adrian was in high spirits. He stood on the balcony, looking out at the city he helped build. He felt invincible. Today, he was joining his life with the Beaumont family. Today, his transformation would be complete. "Rosa," the house manager called. "The master's suit. It needs a final steam. Be careful with it. It's worth more than your life." Rosa took the suit into the dressing room. The silver-threaded fabric felt heavy, like armor. She looked at the inner breast pocket, the pocket that would sit directly over Adrian's heart. Her hands didn't shake this time. They were steady. They were the hands of a surgeon. She reached into her uniform and pulled out Luis's letter. She slipped it deep into the pocket, pushing it down until it was invisible. "He wrote this for you, Luis," she whispered. 12 years late, but it's arriving." She steamed the suit until it was perfect. She hung it back on the mannequin. Then she walked out of the room, through the kitchen and out the service door. She didn't clock out. She didn't ask for her pay. She just went down to the street and waited. Inside the penthouse, the atmosphere was electric. Adrian's best man poured him a glass of vintage champagne. "To the man who has everything," the best man toasted. Adrian laughed. He felt a rare sense of peace. The nightmares of the balcony in Cancun hadn't visited him in years. He had convinced himself that the boy had jumped. He had convinced himself that his money had simply cleared up a misunderstanding. He stepped into the dressing room to put on the suit. He admired the fit. He adjusted the silk tie. Then he reached into the inner pocket to find his linen handkerchief. His fingers brushed against something rough, something paper. He pulled it out. He saw the yellowed edges. He saw the handwriting, the looping, frantic script of a young man who was afraid. "Rosa, there is a man here. He is dangerous." The champagne glass in Adrian's other hand shattered on the marble floor. The room didn't just go quiet, it seemed to lose its air. Adrian felt a cold sweat break out across his forehead. The words on the page were like ghosts rising from the floorboards. He saw Luis's face. Not the face from the newspapers, but the face from that night. the wide, terrified eyes as he went over the rail. "Adrian, are you okay?" his best man called through the door. Adrian couldn't answer. He looked at the letter. He looked at the date, June 12th, 2013. He looked at the mention of the hawk tattoo on his ribs, a tattoo he had paid thousands of dollars to have lasered off years ago. The past wasn't dead, it was in his pocket. Adrian stumbled out of the dressing room, his face the color of ash. He looked around the penthouse. He saw the orchids. He saw the gold. It all looked like trash now. It looked like a pile of stolen goods. He saw the house manager. "Where is the cleaner?" he rasped. "The Mexican woman. Rosa." "She left, sir, about an hour ago. She didn't say anything." Adrian felt a sick realization hit him. Rosa, the name on the letter. He had seen her every day for 3 years. He had walked past her while she scrubbed his floors. He had ignored her while she folded his laundry. And all that time, she had been the sister of the boy he killed. She hadn't been invisible. She had been a witness. He walked to the window and looked down at the street. He saw a small figure standing by the bus stop across the street. Even from 84 floors up, he knew it was her. She was looking up at his window. She wasn't waiting for a bus. She was waiting for him to fall. The wedding march began to play downstairs. Guests were taking their seats. Clara was in the bridal suite, putting on her veil. But Adrian Al-Fayed was no longer a groom. He was a prisoner of a piece of paper. Adrian didn't go to the altar. He didn't run to the airport. The weight of the letter was too heavy. It was as if the paper weighed 1,000 pounds, pinning him to the floor. He realized that Rosa hadn't gone to the police because she knew that the police could be bought. She had gone to his conscience because the conscience is the only thing money cannot bribe. He walked past his confused friends. He walked past the horrified wedding coordinator. He walked straight to the hotel's head of security. "Call the police," Adrian said. His voice was hollow. "Sir? There's a security concern? The wedding?" "The wedding is over," Adrian said. "Tell them I need to report a murder. My own." When the Dubai police arrived, they expected a frantic scene. Instead, they found a billionaire sitting on a gold chair, wearing a midnight blue suit, holding a yellowed letter. He told them everything. He didn't just tell them about the push. He told them about the bribes in Cancun. He told them the names of the officers he had paid off. He told them about the fake death certificate. He spoke for 4 hours. He spoke until his throat was raw. As he talked, he felt a strange sensation. For the first time in 12 years, he could breathe. The secret was out. The monster was exposed. The news hit Dubai and the world like a tidal wave. Billionaire Al-Fayed arrested on wedding day. Tech mogul linked to cold case killing in Mexico. Clara Beaumont left the hotel in a black car with tinted windows, her white dress bundled in a heap in the trunk. She never spoke to him again. His business partners vanished. His stock price plummeted. But in a small, quiet police station, Rosa Martinez sat in an interview room. A detective from the Mexican Federal Police was there via video call. "Miss Martinez, we have the confession. We have the names of the corrupt officers. But we need to know, how did you find him?" Rosa looked at the camera. She looked at the letter, which was now in an evidence bag. "I didn't find him," she said. "The truth found him. I just made sure he had the right suit on when it arrived." The Mexican government filed for extradition. They wanted Adrian back in Cancun. They wanted him to stand in the city where he thought he was untouchable. The trial in Mexico was unlike anything the country had seen. Adrian Al-Fayed sat in a wooden chair in a humid courtroom. There were no fans. There was no gold. There was only the sound of the truth. Rosa took the stand. She didn't wear a maid's uniform. She wore a simple black dress. She stood tall. "For 12 years, my brother was a number," she told the judge. "He was a misunderstanding. He was an accident. But Luis was a man. He was a son. He was a brother. And the man sitting there thought he could buy his way out of the hole he dug." Witnesses who had taken bribes 12 years ago came forward, terrified of being linked to the now famous billionaire. They admitted they had lied. They admitted Adrian's father had paid them. Adrian didn't fight. He didn't hire the best lawyers. He sat and listened. Every word was a lash. Every testimony was a brick in the wall of his new home, a prison cell. The judge's voice was like thunder when he delivered the verdict. Money can build towers that reach the clouds, Mr. Al-Fayed, but it cannot build a bridge over a drop of blood. Life imprisonment. Back in Dubai, the Al-Fayed Tower sat quiet. The penthouse was seized by the government. The white orchids turned brown and shriveled. The midnight blue suit was taken to a police warehouse. The visionary was gone. People in the building whispered about the cleaner. They wondered where she went. They wondered if she was rich now. But Rosa didn't want the money. She refused the settlement Adrian's lawyers tried to offer her before the trial. "You cannot pay for a life with the same money you used to hide the death," she told them. She went back to her one-room apartment. She packed her things. She had a new job, working at a center for the families of victims of violent crimes. She didn't clean marble anymore. She cleaned souls. She helped people find their voices. On a quiet Sunday, Rosa flew back to Cancun. She drove to the dusty cemetery with the wooden cross. She hired a stone mason. She didn't want a gold monument. She wanted a simple white marble headstone. Luis Martinez, 1991-2013, a son, a brother, a truth that never slept. She sat by the grave for a long time. She felt the wind from the ocean. It was warm. It was kind. She pulled the wedding invitation from her bag, the gold-edged card she had taken from the penthouse on that final day. She laid it on the grass. "He didn't make it to the party, Luis," she whispered. "He went to jail instead." She felt a sense of lightness she hadn't felt since she was a girl. The bomb in her chest was gone. The fire was out. Justice had been served, not by a sword but by a letter. Some people think power is found in the height of a building or the zeros in a bank account. They think that being important means you can rewrite history. But the story of Rosa and Adrian proves something else. True power is found in the truth. It is found in the quiet people who see everything while being seen by no one. It is found in the courage to wait for the right moment. Adrian Al-Fayed spends his days in a concrete cell. He has no suits. He has no champagne. He has only his memories. Rosa Martinez lives in a small house with a garden. She has no billions, but she has her name, and she has the memory of her brother, who can finally rest. The world is full of silent crimes. They are stitched into the fabric of our lives, waiting. But remember, truth doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need a tower. Sometimes it only needs a letter, hidden close to the heart, waiting for the perfect moment to explode.